Welcome to another episode of Mystic in the Machine. It is fucking boiling here in London, which is why Jake is in his tiger kimono.
It had to be done. I'm sorry, it's too hot to wear anything in the flat.
Do you want to show everyone your tattoo?
No. No.
Why not?
It's not about me doing anything like that. It's just, I'm just too hot.
I've made you self-conscious now.
hot. I'm too hot.
Well, maybe that's why there's been riots all over the UK.
Or strategically placed so that my nips aren't out in any way, so that YouTube can't ban us.
I don't know why you're acting all shy. You were being pretty brazen before the cameras turned on.
Not at all. I'm too hot. I'm uncomfortable as fuck. All of my t-shirts are like thick cotton t-shirts, and it's too hot.
Listening to you complain about heat all day. English people just like don't like the heat at all.
I do need to get like a what do you call it? Like a basketball thingy, you know, like a vest.
Why?
For the summer, bro, because it just gets too much when it's like you know, crazy hot in the summer, but it's like shit all the other year round.
Yeah,
you know, fucking sucks.
Well, it's like been a few weeks now of like seriously hot weather, and I have a feeling it's probably why there's been like an uptick in rioting lately, because we haven't had a good riot in a while. I was kind of waiting for it to happen,
and then it's just all spilled out all of a sudden.
Yeah.
To me, it's a bit weird, if I'm honest, that like there's so much that's like all spurred all at once, all like across the country.
Yeah,
I find it quite. Not like suspicious, but it's just like quite strange. I don't know like when the last time that was, because even the student like riots or whatever from 2011 or whenever that was, like that was still pretty focused in like one city in the north, I think like Manchester in the north, and then in London as well.
Yeah.
And there was like little protests in their local places for people that couldn't be fucked to go to the proper ones.
Yeah.
But those were the proper ones.
Well,
whereas this is like crazy.
Yeah.
Shit's just popping off everywhere.
Well, the 2011 riots was the last time it was like this big and this sort of notable. And each time they tried to blame it on one thing or the other, whether it be the messaging apps or social media or XYZ. They never really want to look at the reasons behind the discontent, which we're going to go into today in great detail. But yeah, like I guess we should start off with some footage. Should we show people some of what's been going down?
Yeah, sure. Are we doing the riot stuff first?
Yeah, let's just do the riot stuff first. Let's get out of the way.
You've messed up my order again.
Oh my god. You and your autistic order of
just
things.
Saying. All right.
They are scenes that are now happening daily in towns and cities across the country. In Bristol, there were clashes as police tried to keep apart a group of far-right protesters and a much larger anti-fascist counter-protest. It felt unpredictable, confrontational and tense, as in so many places in the last few days, the police right in the middle of the disorder. In Hull city centre, another standoff between a large group of protesters and police. Some were filmed taking a piece of scaffolding, apparently to use as a missile. And what's become the soundtrack for many taking part in these protests.
We want it now! We want our country back now!
This is what residents saw after tyres and bins were set alight. By the evening, there was just the sound of the alarms in shops that had been broken into. The street littered with the debris of a rampage through the city.
Oh my God, it's so dramatic.
In Liverpool too, officers came under attack from a far-right mob Here, as elsewhere, a number of officers were injured.
I'll show you some other places because there's all sorts of stuff.
Well, I guess starting off with that, like Bristol and Hull. Hull is like a university town, so I don't necessarily associate it with like,
but
big race riots or whatever.
Throughout like all of the I think this other one, the Manchester one, was the only one that actually had like another actual incident around it that people are upset about the actual incident.
Mm-hmm.
But then nearly all of the footage I've seen of people walking around talking to protesters and all that kind of stuff, and all of the people that are getting aggy, they do say the same sloganistic things.
Mm-hmm.
And so maybe like people are sort of like being like their feeds are being hyper manipulated in a certain way.
Well,
if like you're a certain demographic of data set of a type of person with this sort of internet history, etc., etc.
Well, that
you are now being funneled all of this kind of like content, and
I think I think it's the same on both sides. I think that the right-wing people are sort of being fed content that's like riling them up, whereas left-wing people are sort of being fed like we're on the brink of fascism content, and that's riling them up as well.
Well, even he described the protests as anti-fascist protests.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if they really described them in that way before.
Well, that's the thing, is there's been a lot of media spin on the other side. Like I said, they're either kind of focusing on like things that are totally innocuous, like, social media, or or things that are obvious, or they're focusing on demonizing all of the protesters so that they don't have to look at like what's causing the issue, which I think we should get into. We're going to show you some more footage in a second, but I guess we should provide you with some...
Don't press buttons.
Sorry.
Ladies can't do technology.
Thank you very much.
Come on.
It only took 2 minutes before the misogyny context first.
The video is what gives the context.
Well, we don't...
Oh my god.
Here we go.
Stop pressing buttons. What did we just say?
Shush. I figured it out. Anyway, so yeah, I guess we should start with the sort of grisly murders that happened.
Yeah, that's what that video that I was just trying to play.
I don't want to watch a news report. It's better for us to just tell people.
But it shows the people protesting over.
Okay, fine. Fucking show it. Just show it. Show the video. Fucking fuss for nothing.
Okay, I didn't realize we blocked the fucking
Jesus Christ. Make us big again,
okay.
Please. You're telling me that I have a woman brain and that I shouldn't press buttons. Maybe you should listen to me more.
Okay.
It's a woman's world now. Katy Perry fucking told you. So fucking obey.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Okay.
Anyway, so to context in terms of what's gone on. So there was like a grisly murder that took place last week. It was at a yoga kids Taylor Swift class. And a 17-year-old went in there and like stabbed a bunch of people. And that's like quite rare for the UK. I mean, not that stabbings are rare. I mean, stabbings have, but in terms of like mass killings and things like that, it's not something that's necessarily a fixture of our zeitgeist. So obviously it caused a lot of upheaval. And there's been a lot of tension surrounding immigration recently, and conversations surrounding immigration, not only because of the unprecedented amount of refugees entering the country, but also the exorbitant cost that it takes to house them. And also the Israel-Palestine conflict has also flared up tensions in the country. Obviously, we have like a very big Muslim population as well here. So yeah, there are all kinds of reasons. There are all kinds of things going on beyond just the social media stuff, which the media seems to be focusing on more than anything, and the whole like left versus right thing, which is what seems to be sucking up all the air as usual.
Well, yeah, I just see more of my Animal Farm analogy becoming real with the way that people respond when they're asked, like, why are you upset and why are you protesting? It's always just the same sloganistic bullshit.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like, who is repeating and constantly feeding people that kind of like, just want my country back.
Well, there are quite a few demagogues that have. I mean, we're in a time of demagogues now. Nigel Farage obviously being one of them. You have left-wing demagogues. You have right-wing demagogues. You have all sorts of thought leaders in the sort of, marketplace of ideas. And that kind of internet culture has really infested England now to the point where we're having like clashes in the street and shit. Like it's it's weird to me.
I think it's more just like some people have very little and also like the kind of sensibility to where they would rather show that they would do violence to try to get what immigrants are being granted rather than just to themselves. They say it's about like homeless people not receiving this stuff and
Pensioners
and asylum seekers receiving like 5-star hotels and this and that. I don't even know. I don't think the Premier Inn is 5-star hotel. But
well, it's not. I think that's quite dismissive of the actual concerns on the ground, because not everybody who's angry about the situation is making claims like that. And I also think that the media, specifically the sort of left-leaning liberal media, is culpable for the environment that we have now, for continuously ignoring these issues. Even if it's not a 5-star hotel, spending millions a year putting people in hotels for the last decade, they've not tried to find a solution to this problem, and they've just been doing this sort of haphazard solution that is a drain on our resources. And instead of people having productive conversations around that, you have one side shouting racist, and then you have the other side, using the terrible elements on the other side, sort of using the discontent to stoke violence and racism. And yeah, there has been quote unquote misinformation flying around. Like when the crime happened last week, people were immediately trying to find out the identity of the killer, whether or not he was an immigrant. A bunch of false information was going around about his identity because they didn't release it because he's a minor. And then they did.
Did we actually say what the crime was in the end?
Well, yeah, we did. Yeah, we did. Yeah, we did. But he also is from where is he from? He's from Rwanda.
He's British. Like I think he was even born in Britain, but his parents were from Rwanda, and yeah, he's like 17 or something like that, and his family's also like Christian, and all this other stuff. Where everyone was like trying to say they were like Muslim and like all this kind of stuff.
But everyone's sort of spoiling for a fight in some form or fashion. And it's definitely being stoked by social media. As you can see, like some of this stuff in the streets was like pretty grisly. And like, I think a lot of the tension has also been ramped up, like I said, by the Israel-Palestine conflict. I remember when the conflict first broke out, there were immediate sort of images of women in hijabs ripping down posters, those like missing posters that they put after it happened in October 7th. And then you had like videos going around of clashes between the Jewish community and Muslims in the streets. And there was this sort of narrative being spun about like a clash between the West and the Middle East. There was also a lot of rage within the British establishment because there seemed to be a lot more support for Palestine among, the people than there was for Israel at the time. And there's also all this like, fear about changing demographics too. So there's all kinds of weird tensions going on in the country right now. Some of it is, I guess motivated by economic factors, others by, international stuff, things that are happening in terms of war, and others by issues that have been ignored and sort of papered over by our establishment for a long time, like putting these people in hotels. It's not feasible. It's not something that can last forever. And then Rwanda was the other thing that Rishi Sunak recommended. Do you want to tell them about the Rwanda thing?
Well, it was basically just as a threat to illegal migrants that they were going to start like shipping illegal migrants to Rwanda.
Yeah, pretty much, which is also crazy. And like
Not shipping, flying.
Yeah. I don't think they would ship them.
That's a bit. Maybe that would have been more of a deterrent.
Efficient.
If it's supposed to be a deterrent, maybe that would have been a better deterrent. To be fair.
Yeah. My problem is there are issues, and like when you ignore them, you kind of empower the more pernicious elements on the far right. You know, and that's what's been going on for the last decade. It's just been sort of swept under the rug. Not only the cost, the money, the amount of resources that goes into making sure that people are housed, but also the cultural stuff as well. You know, you have to. There are people coming in from parts of the world that have very different values and very different culture, and there has to be like a way of dealing with that without devolving into barbarism. But the first thing to do is to like actually confront that as a truth rather than trying to suppress it, and pretend that it doesn't exist, which is what I feel like a lot of liberal people in the UK do.
Yeah, I think it's also like probably something to do with like the way that like all the loopholes are kind of used now. So you have kind of like before you couldn't just like you would have less like small boat crossings and stuff like that, and you would have like more like organized efforts and infrastructurally kind of supported ways of like doing immigration and stuff.
Yeah,
And so
yeah.
there was like obviously the post-war call for like in the Commonwealth for people to come and rebuild the United Kingdom basically, and that was kind of like the Windrush generation and all of the kind of
my people.
Yeah, like like your nan's generation
Yeah.
of people basically.
Yeah.
But those would have all like had skills and that kind of stuff, and they kind of like fake have that now. Where they're like, oh, you can only come here if you have this kind of like level of job, or if it's on a temporary work thing, like farming and like farm picking and stuff like that, right? But then they just basically charge a load of money in Malaysia or like Nigeria or wherever it might be, and say, oh yeah, we've got you set up with a job and this and that, and then they get to the UK and they've spent all their money and they've got nothing here.
Yeah.
And they've got no job, and they've got nothing else now, and they've sold everything in Nigeria, and like they also wouldn't like, maybe to say you wouldn't want to go back out of embarrassment isn't enough to claim asylum.
No.
But like they have nothing. They can't even afford to get the flight back.
Yeah.
Like they are now totally
there has to be some
destitute in the
sort
UK.
of humane way that the international community, especially in Europe, can come together and deal with this problem, but that's not really happening. But you can do it in a humane. You can deal with the problem humanely without saying, "Oh, free for all, open borders. We're going to squander the resources of our country, and we're potentially going to let people in who really are not economically viable." Like I was saying a few episodes ago, the type of immigration that like people like my family did of the sort of Windrush generation and stuff, that was very different to what you're seeing happening now. That was people coming who were educated professionals to do specific jobs. They were already part of a British colony, so they were sort of culturally compatible, and it was quite easy. It wasn't easy to integrate. There was racism and all of that stuff, but culturally there wasn't as much friction because we had similar kind of culture and values as well. And this is very different. What we're seeing now is very different from that, and it is causing a lot of social and cultural upheaval. And the more we ignore it, the more it empowers pernicious demagogues on the far right to use that to agitate. And I feel like what's happening now are the seeds of this problem being ignored, being swept under the rug, and also being talked about in a way that's so paternalistic and just not true.
But I think more of the problem isn't the small boats and stuff like that, because that's like, handfuls of people.
Yeah.
Even if it's handfuls of people a day, that's like a few thousand people. That's like, and the George in the chat, not RJ George, a different George, is saying net legal migration was about 30 to 40k in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, and now it's 700k.
Yeah.
the 700k isn't like small boats and asylum seekers and stuff. 700k is like people doing those like dodgy schemes, as I was saying, about like work visas and things like that. And it's also, I would say, probably if it's that high, my money would absolutely be on it being university students and their dependents. That is like the biggest. That is the biggest
loophole that's sort of being exploited in a lot of ways. But yeah, I mean, I care. I'm an English person. I care about this country. I want to have an economy that functions and that, you know, works for the people who are here first before anyone else. And I don't think that that makes you like a bad person for wanting that. But you can't also like empower inhumane ideas or talking points that are sort of being filtered in from the other side. And I do think that this is sort of being orchestrated in a way, because the dialectic is always fake. Like, I never buy the dialectic. It's always fake.
Yeah.
And you can see that on social media in the way that the, you know, left-leaning people and their algorithms are sort of being bombarded right now with fascism is here, blah, blah, blah. And the sort of right-leaning people are being bombarded with content, you know, about immigrants. Yeah. You know, they're going to rape your blonde white women and stuff.
I think it is actually still like gets to the complete root cause of like the feeling and the problem, even if like people can't articulate it, and the way that it comes out is we just want a country back, we just want a country like that lady in the video.
Yeah.
Then like
she had no teeth as well.
Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if it will like articulate itself in that way, but it's still at the end of the day, like if the whole migration thing is like the thing that you want to look at, and it like then again is like largely the biggest number being students and stuff like that, and if coming to British universities and dependents, etc. Why is that? Because this thing that was an institution of higher learning, originally for obviously people in your own nation to like go to and like further themselves as more productive members of society. Like that's kind of like the function and purpose of a university. Yeah. And now they are all businesses purely run to get the most amount of profit possible. Yeah. With no thought really with it, as long as they fit within the regulations of higher education, blah blah, blah UCAS bullshit. It's not actually about what it's functioning for in society, right? It's about making fucking money at the end of the day. And if you can like actually make more spaces so that you can fill it full of Chinese students and stuff that will pay 3 times
that's still on the higher end of immigration, because most of the sort of expats that are coming to study are from a higher class background. The real issue is with people who are coming out of desperation, and when they come here, they're not cut out to compete in this kind of economy.
But they're not. But
they have nothing. They are basically in hotels indefinitely. It's a very dangerous and precarious situation. And the fact that we've allowed it to remain stagnant for 10 years is why this shit is happening now. It's not happened in a vacuum. Think about how much crime that breeds, all sorts of things, discontent, when you're putting people in hotels, they can't work, they can't compete in the economy, they're in this indefinite standstill. It's inhumane. There has to be a more humane way of dealing with this problem, one that doesn't like, you know, squander the resources of the nation, and one that also, you know, makes sure that things are taken care of in the most humane way possible.
Economists, George again with another good comment. Economists will say we're an aging population and need high levels of migration to sustain public services. See, I think that is like kind of like a neoliberal thing, like excuse that they use to sort of like justify the sort of like feeling that you need more like migration to make up for why would that be? Declining birth rates. And then why would that be? And that would be because like the economies of all of like the developed places where you're supposed to be like killing it like can't have comfortably feel like they can like reproduce and like have a family and all that kind of stuff. which then kind of just points to the total fucking lie of all of it and how much wealth is like shot upwards in all of these societies.
Yeah.
And left everybody for fucked. And that's like the actual kind of feeling that everybody is upset about. But at the end of the day, all of these other poor fuckers that have been like struggling through whatever are now going to get the brunt of the feeling from everybody else.
Yeah.
Because of the way that the elite of the previous generations have completely fucked everybody else.
Yeah. It's also like, you know, a thing where it's used as a way to undercut quality of life and the wages of like working people in nations. And like even when the Windrush generation came, that was exactly what was done then as well. No doubt about it. Yeah, you know, few generations down the line we've integrated, things have evened out, but you know, back then there was a lot of tension because you know, African taxi drivers, Indian taxi drivers were charging less than the white cockneyed cabbies. You know, they were getting jobs that white working class British people felt that they deserved. There was a lot of tension because of, and especially because we have a welfare state. The sort of division of resources was something that's always caused racial tension in this country. And yeah, I think that, you know, this issue being ignored for the last decade is created a monster. And that's why I was so disgusted by Keir Starmer's speech. Did you see his speech where he came out to address the nation or whatever? And he was just yelling about evil, demonic, right-wing whatevers or whatever. And it's like, address the issue. Like, it's a scapegoat. And that's why, you know, that's why I say the dialectic is false and that you shouldn't get wrapped up in it. The real issues are being ignored by both sides. Both sides are screaming bullshit while the actual problems get worse. And yeah, it's not fair on the working people of this country. And it's also not fair on those, you know, poor people coming from desperate parts of the world.
Yeah. Or even just like in my own family, I see that in the generations, in the difference in like, you know, what people, or maybe probably not actually, like it like, I don't know, it feels like the whole we need migration for Asian populations is sort of like it's like there's a lot that goes unsaid with that assumption that nobody like goes to unpick, which I think is insane. The incompletest. Affordable housing is a huge kickstart for economies. Witnessed in the 70s, for example, birth rate, health indices, etc. all improve. I mean, yeah, but then who's going to make affordable housing? Because nobody does anything to not make money anymore. That's kind of the spirit of the times, as Carl Jung would say. And the idea even that you would do something, but that also totally undermines other people's housing prices. Which I think is kind of a big reason in the UK as to why stuff like that doesn't happen, because you see stuff that's like new build homes, £300,000 that, like, you know, you're still going to need to be tied into some kind of crazy new financial product for you to even like have your name on that fucking thing. God knows what that's going to end up being like. I don't know. For me, it all just feels like a deck of cards that's about to fuck, like a big house of cards.
It's about to fucking
collapse. To fall over. And like, because for you to build something that would be truly affordable, i.e. like under £200,000 or something like that, right? Like that was how much someone would really ideally want to pay for a starter home or something, or less than that, right? Like why is the number so high? It's like it's the place you need to live.
Not in London, of course. You wouldn't find something for under £1 million in London.
This still all comes down to this, like all these archaic fucking like landowny fucking bullshit, especially in this country.
Yeah, for sure. That is definitely a huge part of it.
You can't even have your little tiny home dream out here, mate, because
there
like
are feudal lords that like own the land.
And you will not. No.
Peasant.
Like, it's absolutely insane.
You'll end up in the fucking the pillory or whatever.
Like if you were to buy land, it would be like like way more than you would need to just have your little tiny home on, number one. And it would like just be like so expensive that you had already like outshot your budget.
Mary's here. Hi, Mary. Long time no speak. We should have her on the show again. That would be really cool. What else is being said? Angie should say avocado.
J. George, I remember watching a Sex Pistols documentary, and it starts with a poor white guy explaining why he's racist because his taxes weren't getting vested back into his community, but on immigrants. Yeah. I mean, I see. I still, a part of me doesn't really buy that because, like, I think the sort of people that I saw within all these protest videos, I don't think that they would necessarily be people that would be advocating for homeless people and everything else. I think if they heard that someone else received these handouts and like this money, this budget, that was allocated for whatever, and it wasn't something that they directly benefited from, they would be upset. I think that is basically as simple as that. Like all of these people are like feeling that they're totally strung out and life is too hard and fucking prices are too much and
they're being sort of like ramped up on social media like as well. Like everyone's being revved up and everyone's sort of spoiling for a fight as well. And I haven't felt that kind of energy in the UK like ever.
$2,000 for a house in 72. You must be American, bro. That's like that shit would never be nowhere in the UK. Maybe in like Middlesbrough.
Maybe
or, like,
even in
Newcastle.
America, it would probably be a house in like the middle of like Kentucky, Appalachia, or whatever.
Up until I think it was around the 60s or 70s, there was like a Sears catalog, and you would be able to order a prefabbed house from that, delivered to your plot of land or whatever, and you could even then hire a couple of dudes that would like along with that on the delivery that would help you put it up and stuff. And that was like literally, I don't think it was $2,000. I think it was like $20,000 or something like that, which is just fucking amazing. It like looks like a dope
like
house.
Something out of Fallout.
Yeah, it literally looks like something out of Fallout, and like fucking.
That's what I'm imagining in my head
like,
right now.
And you just knock it up, like literally.
Some robots come and bring you your like little like starter home.
Knock it up in a few days.
Knock it up.
Easy game.
Some Boston Dynamics robots come and build your house.
But I don't think that there's too much, like people's whole fucking like livelihoods and finances are invested in property.
Yeah.
So nothing's gonna greatly upset that.
No.
And so for me, I'm like just trying to find sneaky fucking ways like out of that like trap basically.
The feudal trap of English land law.
Yeah, and the one trap the one trappadoggia I found so far is basically making some amount of sacrifices with like, I don't know, like your lifestyle or however you'd put it. And doing the whole fucking narrowboat thing.
Yeah, we've been wanting to do the narrowboat thing for a while. I want to call it the Lothlorien, after the realm of Galadriel in Lord of the Rings. And yeah, I don't know, just as a way of not having to deal with the system of property in this country. It's so fucked up and dark and feudal.
There you go. Sid got it. Jake is 100% correct. Sears homes are still standing all over the place.
Are they really?
Yeah. They were a total thing,
really?
dude. It was an absolute thing. And now, Jamie, my brother, now works for a company that does a similar thing where they build these, like, timber frame homes.
Uh-huh.
But, like, they're a lot more expensive than that. And also, the whole problem stands still of, like, you needing the fucking land.
Yeah,
and then, like,
yeah.
not only that, like, the plumbing and, like, all
Yeah.
the other shit that you would want in a house, right?
Yeah.
It's not like a boat where you're like, oh, yeah, I've got to go empty my fucking bucket of poop or whatever the fuck it is. Let me go around the corner and get the pumpy thing to
You don't
pump
actually
out
have
my
to
poop
empty a
thing.
bucket of poop on the boat.
It depends.
That'd be weird.
It depends on which poop like toilet thing you get. It depends on how you
Also,
get it.
Jake is like fully naked right now.
Not fully naked. I've got a kimono on. It's too hot.
He refused to put clothes on. I was
3D printed houses. See again, but all these genius ideas, guys. I love all these genius ideas. Even the Sears home thing. I feel like the Sears home thing was that's like definitely a whole thing. The 3D printed houses. I've seen videos
Or
of
just
that.
come and join us in
It's amazing.
Lothlorien with and get a narrowboat.
But maybe
You
in
can
America,
have like
again,
a cyberpunk narrowboat community.
in America,
It'll be so cool.
you've got so much more potential because you've got so much more space, but it just takes the bravery of going somewhere new and building something new. And I think if like a good chunk of people basically all saddled up and fucking went to go and build a new town or something, there'd be
Sounds like a cult, and that
oh,
happens
here we
all
go,
the time in America.
naysayers. Here we
you
go,
sound
the
exactly
naysayers.
like
But that's that classic
Rajneesh
frontier
Puram.
spirit, dude. That's what America was founded on. That's what America was founded on. In the UK, we can't do that shit.
We
Because
can't
there's
start
this-
cults. You can start a
You
cult
can
if you
start a
want
cult,
to.
but you can't go off and like have a bit of land to like build a whole little village on.
But the canals are open.
The canals are open, which is
what
why
I'm
the boats
saying.
work. Is
We
our
the
thing.
boats, which is what I'm saying. We should build Lothlorien, like a cyberpunk Lothlorien, and invite everyone to come and like join us on the canals as like boat pirates. I think that's the wave of the future.
It would be good. I feel like that would be good.
But yeah, everything's so fucked economically, and this sort of immigration situation. It's dire, yes, and it's not great, but it's also not the only major existential problem that we have facing us in the UK right now. There are many like more pressing
But
ones, but
it's
this is just kind of a very easy scapegoat for people to vent
all of it's a
frustration.
all of it's a self-repeating problem though.
Yeah,
Because if you like sell universities for people that are gonna go back to their countries to fucking like continue on and whatever the fuck else,
yeah,
then you've like gonna need someone that is qualified to do certain jobs, and so you
Yeah.
have certain position like nurses and all those kinds
yeah,
of people,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
That you then like heavily rely on migration for, when actually you could just like have more incentivized nursing positions
Yeah.
and like better fucking
Like
more
if you
slots
hear
in
the
education and
stories,
stuff.
if you hear the stories from the NHS, they're horror stories, and there really is no incentive to be in the medical profession in the UK, which is really sad. And I'm not saying that it should be private before anyone tries to, fucking hung me at the stake. But the kind of conditions and the lack of pay, the overwork, the tiredness, all the stuff that you hear NHS, they've struck. How many times have they striked this
Oh,
year?
Not this year, but last year they were striking a
Because
lot.
we live really close to the, what's the name of the hospital? I forget what it's called.
I don't know what it's called either. I've had to take you there a couple times.
Oh wait, shush about that. That we live near a very famous hospital in London, and they are constantly protesting outside about pay, about I think the nurses did go on strike this year. There was like it was the student doctors or something.
Yeah.
Something along those lines. But yeah, there's been a lot of unrest in the NHS, a lot of rest in most of our major institutions, because the workers in this country aren't being treated well. Things, wages have been stagnant for nearly a decade. The cost of living is crazy. It's time, and I think it's time for like people to start focusing more of their energy like inward to the problems that actually affect their lives, rather than these sorts of abstractions like racism and this and that, and what your fucking phone when you're scrolling tells you to be mad about. It's like a waste of time, and it's a waste of energy, and it's the dialectic doing exactly what it's supposed to do, which is keep you running around in a fucking loop.
Chris, there are communities in the US that go off and do their own thing with a lot of different construction techniques and novel approaches to essential services. I need to learn more about them.
I don't know, that then you have to deal with crazy people. Literally all the communities that do that in the US, you have to adopt crazy beliefs or have to like let some crazy shit slide in order to be a part of them. I'm not saying that they don't have infrastructure and things that run and blah blah blah, or maybe even some charming aspects to their way of life.
I think everyone rips on the
alternative
Amish.
community, except for my Lothlorien, of course.
Everyone rips on the
usually means
Amish,
crazy.
but the more I've learned about them as you get older, you're kind of like, makes kind of a lot of
I know.
sense.
I think it'd be pretty boring.
I don't think so. You get to play the banjo and instruments that without... I wouldn't be able to play my push anymore.
No, you wouldn't be able to do anything fun, which is why being Amish is suck.
Maybe you could be one of those Mennonite ones instead.
I don't think they're doing DJ sets.
Are they allowed to play? Are they allowed to play Ableton?
I don't think that they're doing DJ sets. I don't think you can do a Mennonite DJ set.
No.
No.
There needs to be a cult. It needs to be one of those like psytrance cults or something.
Lothlorien, I'm telling you guys,
in the UK,
we should
there's
make
like
it happen.
in the UK, there's a couple of them, but they're kind of like run by sort of like Extinction Rebellion-y, sort of like boomery, sort of like hippie type
Weirdos.
people, which are like well-meaning in
No,
the most
dude.
charitable way, but
No.
also just like
It smells like patchouli. It's a bad vibe. Like, it's just not a good vibe.
it's not even just that. I feel like they're also like some of the most judgy people like ever
Big
as
time.
well.
And they're not fun. They're almost as boring as the Amish. They only eat like all this like dry vegan shit. You can't tell jokes around them. Like they bore the shit out of me too. And that's why I am like so anti-alternative community, because I just can't deal with people's craziness. I'm like a lonesome witch in the woods type of deal. I want to do the Walden fucking thing and have my cabin away from the rest of humanity and its craziness.
Floating cabin. A floating cabin.
A floating cabin.
In the floating world.
A floating cabin in the floating world. Perfect. And then I can have my like select few like Lothlorien community members, like the Wizards Council. But like other than that, I don't want too many people around me.
Brandon Pickett, it is the inherent feeling of unfairness that is causing our current troubles. People feel they have nothing to lose. Yeah, I would feel that too until you feel violence of the government upon you.
Yeah. Well, not
and
just
then
that, violence
and then
in
you really
general.
realize how governed you are. Like I don't know. I think it's something that we don't really think about a lot of the time, because you never have to interact with the police or any kind of real sense of authority other than probably your boss or, you know, your wife if you're in a toxic relationship. But do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like when you're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna fucking gob off and like spit at this copper, and he fucking like gives you his fucking like stick right in the ribs, and you're like completely fucking winded like on the floor, and then you get arrested.
Yeah.
And you're in the back of a van, we're separated from your family. Cold and bruised, bleeding, maybe even pissed yourself from where your kidneys were stepped on.
Oh no.
You know, like all of a sudden you like really start to feel that like you are a governed person, and that you under authority, and that you know. So I feel
and
like
you
that.
feel the cold boot of the law.
And so I will be quite interested. Like there's definitely no like, you know, a soft balling with any of the approach with this stuff. It feels like anybody that's been caught with God knows what AI, facial recognition, CCTV, glowy fucking V for Vendetta-esque fucking bullshit they've got cooked up in the background with MI6.
They had fucking drones
like,
flying all up in that shit.
You know,
sure.
they are gonna like, you know, come and they're gonna have a list of names, dude. So like, I wouldn't be wanting to be on the list of names, no matter how like I'm feeling like I've got nothing to lose. You absolutely do, man. And like none of those people look homeless.
Well, some of them did. The ones that didn't have teeth in their mouths.
They looked a bit worse. They looked worse for wear, but still
I'm
not
so evil.
Still not homeless. You know,
worse for wear.
Yeah, worse for wear. Like they've definitely like, you know, they've spent way too much of their time either like smoking something they shouldn't be, or like drinking way too much alcohol.
Someone says Angie wants that Baba Yaga life. Yes, you get it. You get it. That's exactly it.
Ted K, but nicer. I mean,
I want the chicken legs on my house. I want them on my house.
I guess we are going for the Ted K but nicer vibes. No like bombs. No bombs in the mail, but like definitely all of the I don't know. That's been a whole other video essay topic I've seen coming around again on
what,
YouTube.
Ted K?
It's like Ted Kaczynski wasn't wrong.
Speaking of video essays, quick plug. My new channel, Depth Diaries, is finally launched, so go subscribe. There's a link in the description, and I have a new video on Evangelion and technological accelerationism on my channel, so go check it out. I'm really excited. I'm going to be doing bi-weekly video essays on there. Maybe my next one will be about why Ted Kaczynski wasn't wrong.
Yeah.
Who knows?
And, you know, I think it's also sort of... you got to go hard or go home with this sort of thing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because the government does literally have all of that like AI, like drone tech, right? And so you kind of got to do some sort of like Guy Fawkesy sort of thing, not sort of like just like street rebellion-y.
No.
Oh, we're gonna set a fucking police van on fire. Don't get me wrong. It's bad that all those policemen got like injured and stuff, and it's not good. That's like not great. But like you should be doing something against people that are really culpable.
Yeah.
Not like fucking the police.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You should have been trying to execute Tony Blair on his way to the fucking Bilderberg meeting or something. Make a proper statement.
Well, that's what I'm
Like,
saying is this whole thing is sort of a very easy scapegoat for people to take discontent out on, because so much of the other greater existential threats feel so much more out of our control. For instance, looming war. I mean, Keir Starmer's in office now, and the first day he was like, yeah, let's go, boys. And it took someone higher up in the military to be like, whoa, maybe not. Maybe let's not have that happen. So, and, you know, we've been on a razor's edge for quite a while in terms of, you know, that, the economy, the lack of pay, the fact that everything's so much more expensive. These are all things that people don't feel they have any control over. But you can look at somebody in your community who's different than you and like fucking pop off. And even though, yes, I'm not trying to deny that there is an issue with when it comes to immigration, you know, it's like not as big of an existential threat to our well-being as all the other stuff. And I feel like this is just like the easy thing to grasp at.
It's also just a bit of a case of damn this heat.
Yeah, it's fucking hot. I'm not used to the heat.
heat.
If I could be naked, I would be fucking naked, but I can't. So, you know, I'm like sweating in gross places. It's just not fun.
Different kind of stream. You have to get over on Pornhub.
No, behave yourself. I know that you're allowed to get away with being like semi-naked right now. But I definitely, like, you know, I definitely haven't experienced.
You just gotta have the confidence. You could have done like the tape on your nipples.
No.
And then just like sat it.
Absolutely not. Never.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. But yeah, I've never experienced heat like this in the UK. It's been quite intense, and I think that definitely is making people a bit crazy as well.
It's the same, not quite as much of an effect like the football does on like beating women, but it does have a large effect on the amount of like general violence that's happening.
Yeah, but why does
because more beer's drunk.
Why does stop saying free the nipple in the fucking chat? No.
I said protect the nipple with you know.
Why don't you free your nipple
like
right now?
Let's
show everyone. Look at his Watchman tattoo here. There we go. He made this decision when he was 18.
I want to get.
And now it's with him for life.
I want to get the smiling man from Ghost in the Shell on the other side.
Are you going to do that when we go to Japan?
It's a bit like East and West. Maybe I should get that in Japan.
I want to get a tattoo in Japan. I have no tattoos, and I don't know, quarter life crisis.
I also don't want to get a tattoo.
It feels like time.
14-hour plane ride away from home. And
someone said male presenting nipple.
I'm not presenting any nipple, bro. I am showing you my tattoo. Okay, there's no nipple on display here. No nipple on display.
It's getting hot in here.
It is.
It's getting sexual. Oh my god.
But yeah, I wouldn't get a tattoo in Japan because I wouldn't want to like it for it to get infected for whatever fucking reason, and then it just fuck up the trip.
I'm sure it's fine. They're like clean people, and it's like a clean country.
Yeah, that's all well and good.
Yeah.
But I just wouldn't want to take that risk.
No, I want to get like a thing on my back, like a thing. Like a dragon or something. I don't know. Just like a cool thing. But I haven't decided yet. What are people
Love that Watchman tat, see?
Okay, somebody approves. Somebody approves.
Bang.
Somebody approves.
Bang. I'm gonna get the smiling man on the other side.
From Ghost in the Shell?
Yeah.
I don't know the Smiling Man logo that you're talking about.
It's from the second one. It's not from the first film.
I haven't seen.
Or it might even be from the series. It might be from the series.
I've only seen the movie, which is definitely do a video essay for sure. Anything else in the chat?
I think there is a sense that that immigration is controlled in some sense, however large the numbers, then people overall will accept it. But if it feels like there's no controls, troubles ensue.
I don't think people are against. Well, there are some people that are against all immigration, but for the most part, I think there's been a lot of diversity integrated into like English identity, and also because of the Commonwealth, people who don't even live in England are technically English. Like I said, when we went to Nigeria, a couple of years ago for my brother's wedding. There's a street in Lagos called Earl's Court.
Yeah.
You can get an English continental breakfast pretty much anywhere. Everybody speaks English.
Of questionable, like, quality. Depending where you go. There's a couple of places that got it right.
Some places did a decent job.
Some
Some
of them-
places were
Some of them.
not that great. But yeah, what was I saying? Yeah, there because of the Commonwealth, there are parts of the Commonwealth that are very English in terms of culture, and there's so much influence now that is just quintessentially British that isn't necessarily white. And there are also people in this country who are quintessentially British and are not white. And you can't dispute that. I've been here for 3 generations now, so you're gonna have to do some shady shit to get rid of me. Which is why it pisses me off.
I don't think anyone was trying to get rid of you.
No, that's what I'm
Angie.
saying. Which is why it pisses me off with all the fear mongering about that sort of thing. And the fact that, like, people of color, especially those of us who have been here since the fucking Windrush, when they buy into it and get hysterical. Like, if you have legal British citizenship, if you have a passport, they can't take that shit from you without going to court. And if they did, it would be a major human rights violation. You have human rights.
Or unless you, like, joined a terrorist organization. Because
That was the one time where
we do that.
That was that one time where the girl who joined ISIS, she got her, and I thought that set a terrible precedent, an absolutely awful precedent.
Especially when it was an inside job, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it was actually like a Canadian spy that ended up, like, grooming her.
It was one of those weird
join
ops that they fucking do all the
ISIS
time or whatever.
Whichever.
But I maybe they did it in order to set that precedent. Who knows? But even if they do, no matter what shady shit they can pull, you have rights.
But they didn't.
On an international level, they can't make you fucking stateless. So
They didn't give her citizenship back because they would have had to admit, like, the situation.
Yeah.
And it would have made everybody look bad, like, on the, like, spycraft front, right?
Yeah.
So she got her fucking citizenship taken away because sloppy spies.
Yeah.
Which is actually, like, really poor lady.
Yeah.
Like, that's really unfortunate. And now she's, like, stuck in Syria or wherever it is. Like, that sucks, bro.
It's crazy. Perhaps it's because everybody in my family is a lawyer, but that's, like, the way that I think. If I hear some, like, idiot far right person threatening to deport, I'm like, come at me, like, come at me, bitch. Like, everyone in my fucking family is a lawyer. Like, I have rights, and I wish that people.
No one's coming for you, Angie. You're so fucking aggy and
I'm
defensive.
not aggy or defensive.
You are.
I'm not. I'm just saying people shouldn't. I'm trying to say people shouldn't get defensive
Just
because
giving it-
you're safe. You're fine. Nobody can touch you. And I wish people behaved more like they had a stake in this country and not like they were constantly under threat or under question all the time. You are British, so fucking live your life and fucking chill.
Maybe it's actually just like Ted Kaczynski wasn't wrong at all, but he just personally didn't choose very good victims.
Oh my God.
Do you know what I mean?
It also goes for the right wing as well. Like, as much as they sort of, blow smoke in about all of this sort of thing, whether you like it or not, we're British. And also people who are British can hate this country. I think that one of the problems that they have is the fact that there are immigrants who are British citizens that hold sort of anti-colonial, quote unquote, anti-British sentiment. And that's their legal right. They're allowed to do that as British citizens. They think that if you are a British citizen, that automatically means that you must be patriotic or deferential all the time. That simply isn't true. And you can't threaten to deport somebody simply because they don't agree with you on a political or, like, international thing. You're allowed to hate your country if you want to. No one can fucking touch you for that. Yeah. Suck on eggs. And the thing is, the right wing are always the ones talking about free speech as well, which is the annoying thing. But they like clutch their pearls whenever somebody who's an immigrant says something that's, like, adverse to patriotism. But that's, like, a sign of progress. They should be able to do that. You should be able to say whatever the fuck you want,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is I don't know. As I said, there's too much like, at stake, in the population throughout the different classes for anything meaningful to kind of like really adjust.
Yeah.
Especially if it's just like things that they can accrue to like thuggery and all that kind of shit, right?
Yeah, that was the word
Like,
that Keir Starmer used to describe the events.
Like, you can't use thuggery to describe V for Vendetta, right? Because he like did some super cold, calculated shit, and then like took over all the emergency broadcast system and like gave a really clear message to everybody.
No, babe, V
you know
is
what I mean?
terrible, and I mean,
I feel like it's
V is not a good example because V is like
Alan
a literal
wrote us the
psycho.
blueprint. Alan wrote us the blueprint. Okay, we just need to.
He kidnaps Evie and like CIA tortures her.
Yeah, but
into,
so
like-
she would understand.
No, dude. Oh my
Okay, so she would get it, dude. So she'd actually get it, and she's not like a pussy and then betrays him,
No,
and she
dude.
doesn't, and
No,
she takes
dude.
on after
His
him.
whole thing
So
was
he did it right.
He reminds me of, you know, the whole Lucifer Ahriman thing that I'm always on about.
Oh, here we go again. Yeah.
He's like the Lucifer end of the equation where he's sort of wielding the light of Lucifer, but isn't like morally or spiritually developed enough to like actually handle that without causing destruction. So he becomes this kind of revolution at all costs figure, and even allows himself to be a vessel for evil at times in order to achieve his ends. And I think Alan Moore sort of looks in the comics, the stupid Wachowski movie is like,
It's
it doesn't
it's
even
alright.
hit on the level of philosophical depth that like
No,
the
But it's at
comics
least
gets
it's at least a
to.
7.5. It's
Does
a C,
not.
It's a
It
C.
doesn't
It's a
hit.
C plus / B.
It's
give
all
it.
right. I liked it when I was like 15.
It's a good movie.
Now it's
good
kind of
fun.
like, oh, okay,
Some
fine,
great
whatever.
performances.
Yeah, whatever. I hate how like he CIA tortures her, and Natalie Portman's just like, yes, daddy, CIA torture me some more. Like,
See, you got to get yourself
Oh
a
my
girl
God.
that's down, like fucking Natalie Portman in V Vendetta. Do you know what I mean? She's willing
it's very twisted abuse of the anima mundi right there.
She
Not good.
just wants to understand and get the truth from you, daddy, so much that like she'll let you like
just
put
give
her
me
through
the gnosis, daddy. Just
all-
torture me.
all of the trials that you need to, so that she'll finally understand. Do you know what I mean? And then be able to even just like take on after you, even after you die, in like revolutionary fire.
Oh, so you have your weird like Manchurian candidate, like
Yeah.
brainwashed
You have, like-
devotee that's gonna like.
Partner / like Manchurian candidate. Like,
Is this what men want? Is this what they want?
I feel like this is a version of what we want.
Well, folks, you heard it here on this show.
No, but
Men just want a Manchurian
someone
candidate.
someone just needs to man up and be V, dude. Someone just needs to man up and like do that, because like I'm not ninja enough to learn all the knife skills and do all of that. Like, it needs to be someone. We need to have like a Joe Rogan that's like underground in the UK that can like learn all the combat and do all the stuff.
Oh my god. UK
And then,
Fight Club.
Yeah, we need like a UK Fight Club, the winner of UK Fight Club, to become the V Vendetta and like actually assassinate Keir Starmer.
Oh my
Or
god.
some kind of like grand like gesture with then like a really like clear cut demand of like, you know,
well, in
no
the,
more bankers bonuses and like all these things should go back into public coffers, and like all of these like really like good things that would just like put all the money like back in people's pockets
in
and in
lieu of
infrastructure and
that,
stuff.
in lieu of that, we have fucking this shit going down, which is sad. Someone says, "Oh, Steiner, Lamb and Crowley, interesting. Ahriman, Savaros, Doctor Who." Yeah, sure.
I don't know about.
I don't know about the Doctor Who reference, but yeah, Steiner is definitely good crack. It's good fun.
There you go. Jay George is learning capoeira, so he's eligible. He's definitely
Amazing,
You're
dude.
definitely on the list, but you're in
Amazing.
Brazil. You can be the V of Brazil. But
I love it. I absolutely love it.
we still need. We
I
should
love
just.
it.
This is it. We need to like send the message of like someone's got to become the actual V, who's like basically like the Batman.
Who
but
wants
for, like,
to CIA torture me into submission
but not for
and
like.
make me into their
comic nerds.
successor?
No, that's my job. Okay, but
Well, you're not V. You're not V. So
No, but we'll do that in a different way.
You're not volunteering.
We're gonna do that in a different way.
Shush you. Gosh, just because you're like naked right now. Jesus Christ.
But no, we need to be telling everybody to make a V in their own nations to like kill the elites and figure this shit out to get like proper revolution going.
No, we'd rather
because
sort of kill each other.
all of this Ponzi like burning police van shit is a little bit like dumb to me and stupid, and it's also like people that can't really articulate what they're actually upset or what even their political demands would be. Like, even if you look back at the peasant revolt of like whatever the fuck, like 11 something, or maybe it wasn't that, maybe it was like 16 something or 14 something, I can't fucking remember.
Your dad's always going on about it.
He's always going on about it, but if you look at the fucking like if you look at the fucking political demands of the peasants, of the medieval peasants of like fucking 15th century Britain, they are really like clear and concise and get to the heart of like ownership over like a basic fucking stuff within land rights and all sorts of things. They're like, oh, these are all medieval peasants. You're supposed to be like illiterate, retarded, like bumblefucks. And here you've presented to me this really articulate list of political demands. Yeah. And then you go to the streets now, and it's just like, it's sort of just like, I feel like we need to be able to have the articulated list of demands if we're going to be doing like all the violent bits and stuff.
No, dude.
And if you can, all you can do is muster, like, you shouldn't be doing any violence or setting anything on fire. You should probably go and sit down
and have a little think.
About your life.
And I'm surprised. I don't know. We're in central London-ish, so I didn't see any fracas or chaos occurring.
God, fracas.
I didn't. How do you say
Jesus.
it? How do you say it? Fracas.
Is that the new word you learnt at the Young Tory conference? Is it?
Fuck you.
Me.
It's like a boarding school word.
I'm sure it is. I'm sure it is.
Do I sound like Boris Johnson?
None of my friends used fracas or whatever the fuck he said. Jesus.
Do I sound like Jacob Rees-Mogg?
Yes, you do. There you go. God. That would be a good one. He looks like the Monopoly Man, so that would be like there would be so many memes around that if you V'd Jacob Rees-Mogg. Like, there would be a lot of memes around that.
Yeah. Well, anyway, moving on. We wanted all the smoke this week from America because America was getting all the attention.
Yes, so we thought we would make literal smoke and set a bunch of shit on fire.
Yeah, because we wanted attention. But let's have a look at what's been going on in America.
The word fracas gives me PTSD from the Top Gear drama circa mid-2010s. Yes, mate, exactly. So that
I'll never use it again.
That, for those that don't know, was basically how all the press were describing the fight that Jeremy Clarkson had with the producer because he didn't bring him his steak on time or something. And he like threw a fucking man hissy fit and punched him, and then had to apologise for his fracas that he had with his fucking producer. That is fucking hilarious.
My mom uses the word fracas as well,
of course,
but in like a strong Nigerian accent. Yeah, anything else?
Reminds me of the peasant scene in the Holy Grail. That is exactly it, mate. But like, do you know what I mean? That is pretty much exactly it. Like, you should know why you're upset and like what is wrong. Like, you know, I hate to use that.
Most people just like get these vibes. We're in a vibocracy. They get the vibes from their social media thought leader, influencer. They get all riled up and like start foaming at the mouth. Like most people are empty vessels, and like they're being filled because they're empty vessels by all of this bullshit, and they're sort of like, you know, having their emotions manipulated.
4 legs good, 2 legs bad.
Yeah.
Where my country gone?
It's very frustrating. But yeah, let's look at some of America's madness. Let's get away from our madness.
Last topic.
Yeah, last topic, because it's getting hot and I need water.
I'm done with this, bro.
I need water.
It's too fucking hot. My whole back just peeled off the leather of this chair. I'm not feeling that.
Oh God.
I need a drink.
Okay. So we had Meg the Stallion.
It's your cousin.
It's your fucking cousin. Fuck you. What an asshole. Yeah, so this is like super awkward because like, as you can see, no one was dancing really, and it's like super awkward. And that was at Kamala Harris's rally in Atlanta. So this is how they decided they were going to get black people to vote for them. It's like a Boondocks episode, like. like a, presidential political rally right now.
Let's get this done, Atlanta. Let's get this done, Atlanta.
What's she saying?
I don't understand.
I can't understand either. Okay, well, anyway, those were the two clips of Meg.
She's making a lot of noise and making a lot of motion. And I think she's getting everybody excited. And that was what
no
her
one
job
seemed
was.
excited because I think that some of them were genuinely offended, which is good. Why aren't they talking about policy? Like, America's in a crazy, especially, minorities in America, is in a crazy economic slump right now. And you're having Megan Thee Stallion shake her ass in your face.
Is that what Kamala Harris is offering all Americans?
What, free booty?
A nice, tall black lady to come and shake her butt, for you?
Well, yeah, probably. There was no policy offered whatsoever, so that's what they're offering, clearly.
I think that should be the policy that Megan Thee Stallion has to, go and, pay a visit to every American during Kamala Harris's presidency.
And give them a lap dance.
Yeah. I'd vote for that, dude. I'd vote for that.
Well, that's kind of the thing. It is kind of a vibocracy. Now, moving on to Trump. Here he also brings, I guess he's also trying to pander for the black vote as well. And he bought...
I walked into, I don't know what the hell restaurant it was, but I walked into this restaurant. I walked in, she's behind the counter, and she didn't know I was coming. And she goes, "It's President Trump." She looks at me, "It's President Trump. You saved my college." And I said, "How the hell do you know that?" She said, "This one is so smart, so sharp." She grabbed me. She gave me a kiss. I said, "I think I'm never going back home to the First Lady."
You were supposed to keep that quiet.
See, now, for the average politician, that's that. For me, I don't care.
Oh, my God. And then, the next one as well.
That's it.
Oh, I thought I shared another one. Never mind. But Trump also not much policy, it just kind of shows the way that Black America is viewed, and I think it's really sad. Really, really sad. And I'm glad I saw in terms of commentary and stuff, at least I've seen quite a lot of Black Americans angry and irate about it and sort of rejecting it, which I think is good. But yeah, it's really sad and demoralizing, I think, that they would think ass shaking and making jokes about fucking someone is the way you garner black votes. Especially at a time like this.
It's not my kind of hip hop either. It feels very very stripper hip hop.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not really. I can't really get into that.
You're not into it unless there's ass shaking in your face.
Unless, if someone was dancing like that, if you were dancing like that for me, maybe that would be nice.
Absolutely, I'm too much of a.
You're too classy.
I'm
to
too
be
classy.
Putting stripper rap on.
Yeah, to put stripper rap
shaking
on.
Shaking it to stripper rap.
I might do a burlesque type of thing, but I'm not gonna put stripper rap on. Sorry.
Get me some of them big feathers.
Yeah.
And do something like that instead. Instead of doing the pantsuit booty shake.
No, and that the pantsuit, everything about it was just fucking. Just terrible. And there were also elders in the audience I could see who were do you
reckon they're gonna an AI to make Kamala shake her butt like that?
Didn't she do that in She-Hulk already?
That was Meg Thee Stallion again that did that.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I feel like they just have to. She's just someone that.
God.
Well, she probably was a stripper or something, and that's you just have to pay her enough money, and she was just going to shake her butt wherever.
Yeah, pretty much.
In the Marvel studio. For Kamala Harris, whatever you need, the booty shaking,
but wherever you need
Meg
her.
will go and do it.
But that's the thing it was so cringe. No one was dancing. No one was hyped. She looks so awkward, and it's you would have to have a sort of hoish mentality to just take anything that's offered to you.
Well, it's kind of a weird gig to have as a musician, right?
As a booty shaking fucking rap female.
Yeah.
Even if it is Atlanta, the type of people that are going to be going to a presidential rally aren't the type that are going to be at the strip club.
That sort of thing should still be subculture. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I feel like if that stuff is now just on a Sunday we're all just gonna, you know what I mean? Like that is now like reached a point where that's probably like bad. That's like too much.
It's insulting.
It's too
as
much
well.
of a good thing, right?
Yeah, too much of a good.
Too much lemon pepper wings, dude. You gotta mix it up every now and then. You gotta mix
it up every now and then
and get something else.
Oh my god!
But I don't know. It's just.
What are you saying? They should get flat booty bitches up there?
No,
to mix it up.
No, what I'm saying is it's a weird gig, and like if you're like hip hop was kind of always supposed to be subcultural and subversive, and the best stuff is right, like.
So hot.
And then it became pop music,
horrible.
And now, all of the kind of actual cultural meaning, so like those aggressive beats and all the stuff and booty shaking, like now that is kind of being co-opted, but it makes no sense. So it does have this kind of very like idiocracy kind of feel to it now, because it is so cognitively like separated from like the origins of like the art and all of that kind of shit itself. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like and it's also like what kind of it's like even I was I saw some clip today of England's biggest rapper at the moment who's been crowned.
Oh dear.
This fella called Central C.
Oh dear.
Which I only just heard about.
Oh dear God.
Because I fucking live under a rock, literally.
And we're getting
in
old.
Camden.
we literally do live under a rock in Camden.
I literally live under a rock in Camden, so I didn't know about this guy. But he goes around sporting a big piece of jewelry in like the American like Flavor Flav fashion, but it is with the head of
Queen Elizabeth,
of Queen Elizabeth.
Yeah.
The second.
Our late monarch.
So figure that one out.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like you're supposed to be rock and roll, and like what rock and like even if you're rapping and you're not playing guitars and whatever, like it's still supposed to be rock and roll.
Strippers are now shaking their ass for the DNC.
Strippers are supposed to be rock and roll. They're not supposed to be at the fucking
are now,
political
like,
rallies.
Late monarchs on their medallions.
Do you know what I mean?
We're in it's a different kind of, the subculture is gone. The idea of like, didn't you see the Paris Olympics? The idea of the underground or the fringe still being sort of underground or fringe is
Did Snoop Dogg
bullshit.
actually smoke a blunt with the Olympic torch? I thought he was just like I didn't think he actually smoked any weed when he was doing that ceremony.
Did he actually do that?
I didn't watch the ceremony properly. Maybe
I didn't watch
did.
that part. I didn't. I fucking missed that part. Jeez. I just checked out the highlights. Oh my God. That's crazy if he did that. But yeah, I mean,
Kid Rock's RNC performance, complete self-satire and display. You see, I feel like there would be so much self-awareness about Kid Rock and his performance within the RNC especially, that it would be like funny, at least on some level, or it would be meta or still over the top in some way, that there would be entertainment value still there.
Yeah.
Where you're trying to kind of co-opt this rock and roll thing, and it still works to some degree with the RNC because at the end of the day they are the opposition, even if they're still one
well,
wing of the same bird.
At least they didn't have an actual minstrel show. I mean, Trump did come. Trump did come in hard with that. I picked this black chick up at a restaurant and nearly
she gave me a big kiss.
My wife. He's like, I nearly didn't go home with my wife, which is like you know, Tame and Grandad, but they literally just had like a straight up minstrel show at the fucking the DNC. And like, why do they think that they can't talk to Black Americans about policy? You know, why do they think they always have to like bring a hippity hoppity?
Well, there was like a clip
hoppity hippity person to talk to them.
There's a clip I saw Tim Dillon play where he showed Kamala Harris as like changing her accent to talk to black people.
Oh yeah.
As well.
Obama did that as well.
And then
Obama used to have his like Georgetown, you know, Ivy League accent when he was talking to the whites, but then when he was like in Atlanta, he would like have this weird Southern drawl.
She did the Southern thing again.
Did she
as
do
well.
the Southern drawl?
Yeah, and like she did this big shit-eating grin after she did it as well. Like I just got away with that. You all want me so badly.
Oh God.
You just ate that
She's
shit
an
right
empty
up.
vessel. She's the definition of an empty vessel. She just sort of like switches into whatever fucking persona will get her the most like likes and credibility or whatever.
We are in a truly like crazy fucking place.
Yeah.
And yeah, it would be like I don't know. I'm trying to think. Like, it is a really hard gig. I don't know if there's an ultimate. You would just get like a local band, like a local orchestra or something, to play some fucking covers of some shit for you. Do you know what I mean? It's a horrible
No, because it's all
gig.
about the celebrity endorsements.
It's a horrible
It's
gig
all about
for
the
any
celebrity
artist to
endorsements.
take. No, any actual artist, not like scumbag celebrity
Yeah,
shitbag that would just sell themselves whatever. Even Kid Rock, like he doesn't need the money, bro. I'm surprised he's taking that gig.
Well, the thing is, there's no social stigma against it because most people in America buy into the dialectic, and they're so fucking asleep.
Yeah.
Whereas if they weren't, there would be a social stigma if you were a musician playing at the fucking RNC or DNC. People would probably give you the side eye, and I think that it would probably like not be a cool thing in a perfect world.
I would like,
and they would be forced to have to get like local musicians or whatever the fuck, because no one would want to do it for them.
See, they'll recreate the episode of South Park where one year they book it on the same day, and they have to share the stage, and the different musicians like fight over like the different bits of the song they're trying to sing.
Oh man, oh my god. But yeah, I don't know. The thing that annoys me the most is we're gonna have to deal with this shit until November. Our election was fucking fake and gay, and it was done and dusted and over with. I hate how long the American one drags on, and the fact that we have fucking months and months of this left. Just sit back and enjoy the spectacle, get your popcorn, I guess.
Charlie and Meghan are just not compelling enough. If I would, this would be fair. Someone used Bjork for Adaman. I don't know. Bjork I find like overrated, but that's what I mean.
How dare you?
Even if you use like some like really like high art like fucking artist like Bjork, you're then I think you're sort of like you're taking away, you're simplifying so much of like what you're the complexity of what you're trying to say in your music, it being so abstract and fucking crazy, down to then like a really blunt like political kind of thing.
Yeah.
It doesn't really, I don't think that really works.
No.
Do you know what I mean?
No. Absolutely not.
I think it should be the people that are running themselves. There should be a musical component to the presidential election. I think that this is something that is missing. Yeah, I think there's something that's missing. I think
unless you got pipes, you can't be in the White House.
Well, not even pipes. Like, if you could have like done a Bill Clinton and like fucking blast some sax, or you could like do. You tried to call it like, oh, Obama sang that song that one time.
He did it. He did
Fuck
a little
that.
Al Green. It was quite sexy.
Nah,
it was a little bit sexy.
I don't. You singers are a dime a dozen. I don't even want. Singers don't count. You need to play an instrument. Play an instrument and rock the fucking Casbah with one song, and then like that will give you a score, and you have to do that in all 50 states.
Wow. You have to tour all 50 states.
Yeah.
And whoever has the best 50 states tour becomes the president.
Exactly. Who's the most consistent?
Yeah.
And then you got to have a beer and a banter with like a big bar full of local dudes afterwards, and then they've got to all give you a score out of 10 as well. and then that all also contributes.
I think that is a great system, a much better one than we have now with booty shaking strippers.
By the end of the 50th state, you're going to be like you're going to be able to do like an amazing gig and be able to be like the absolute fucking stag of the fucking town for the night. Just be like, you'll be so like well conversed with the working man and just like drinking so much booze and fucking like smashing out all these like.
So what we're
jams
saying
or
is
whatever.
Jake for president.
Or I like what the Greeks used to do, right? The Greeks used to do it where you wouldn't run because you're like, oh, I really want to help people, so I'm gonna run, even if you're like, oh, I'm really gonna steal all this money and like get all this stuff for myself, right? Instead, it's just, oh, and this year the Ministry of Farming shall be Barry. Barry, get up here. And he's like, what? No, I don't want to do this. Fuck you. but he has to because he's called to do it now.
I like the system. This
and
sounds good.
you get paid for like. Well, it's more just like it's
like jury duty, basically.
Yeah, it's jury duty, and it makes it like completely uncorruptible.
Yeah.
There's no oligarch or moneyed interest that can have sway over.
It's just some
shit
random guy
because it's just fucking Barry from fucking the village down wherever the fuck, and he is gonna do things to the way he sees common sense for like that couple of years, whatever the fuck it is.
How lovely.
Like I think that the we figured so much shit out a long time ago, and we've just been watering it down and given more power away to the oligarchs and the elite class.
Unfortunately so.
But yeah, it's fucking late, bro, and I got work tomorrow, so we got to
Yeah,
call it now.
and it's hot, so we got to call it a night. But
Yeah, I want ice cream.
Please go and subscribe to me on Depth Diaries. Watch my new video if you're not sick of me already. I have a new video out on Evangelion and technological accelerationism. The link is in the description, and please go subscribe and like and do all the things. It's a new channel, so everything helps me. Catch you guys next week. Goodbye.